Well, hi everyone. Welcome to Soul Sunday here on Get Vocal. Uh, got my cat Domino with me here, and don't know what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to wait to do a little bit of a Q&A, cattail, a little bit of a Q&A because because of the format of the show, it is not. I'm really not able to repurpose it. So rather than record a show that you would get from me during the week on the regular podcast or on my YouTube channel, I've decided that it'd be better if we have a conversation. So I'm going to check right now to make sure that I'm streaming because last week I did not do that correctly. So let's see if I'm streaming today. If you are just, oh, I am. Look at that. I am streaming. I'm doing it right. Yay. Okay. I just have less to say today than I did last week. So I'd love if you are here, if you're watching this, to come on Get Vocal, because that will be the only way I can talk with you. If you want to come on, the link below, you can either download Get Vocal on your device, or you can go to getvocal.com. That's GET, Get Vocal, VOKL.com. And the link for my show is underneath the post, underneath where I said I was going to be going live. So with that said, I'll chat for a little while, and hopefully anyone who wants to chat and has a question or a comment can come on and offer that. I will look again on the Facebook because I do see that some of you are watching live on Facebook. And while that's great, I can't talk with you because this is a different platform. So again, if you could make your way over to Get Vocal. Okay, now I have two. So come over to Get Vocal because I want to be able to have a conversation with you. Unless you just want to post a question underneath the Facebook post, and then I can answer it here, and that would be fine. So let me know either way if you're okay. And now you're gone. So, all right. So we're going to do a short show then. If nobody comes over here. And let's talk about today's show was entitled How to Feel Better Right Now. And for those of you that listen to the podcast, I have recorded a show that's already out called How to Feel Better Right Now. It was I believe a 60-minute episode that gave a couple different examples of exercises that you can do and just talking about the situation in general of the world. And again, your responsibility or lack thereof and what it is that you can control. So I'll just briefly go over one of the ways that you can feel better right now. And that is to use one of the most very simple practices of law of attraction, which is appreciation, or a lot of you prefer the word gratitude. The reason why I don't prefer the word gratitude is because appreciation has a cleaner vibration. When you say I appreciate, there's not a therefore. I appreciate because of. And a lot of times people drag negative feelings and negative emotion with gratitude, because sometimes you say have gratitude and there's some memory or idea or feeling about something in the past that you weren't grateful for, which is why you're grateful now. So appreciation does have a cleaner frequency and vibration. So rather than a gratitude journal, I have an appreciation list or appreciation journal. And again, the vibration of either gratitude or appreciation in general is a higher frequency in which allows you to receive. So one of the things you can do, no matter what is going on for you, no matter what is going on in the world, no matter what is going on. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, I did a post this morning about remembering who you really are. And since it's Sunday, and Sunday for those of you out there who are churchgoers, today is the Lord's Day. But just generally speaking, there's spiritual conversations happening on a Sunday where you feel like there's a reverence, a acknowledgement of something bigger than you. And whether it be whatever it is you believe in, even if you're an atheist, there's sort of I still feel like Sunday's like the day of rest, even if you don't buy into why. That Sunday should be that day of sort of going inward as well as being thankful and connecting with whatever is outward. So when you're looking at whatever your stories are that you're telling yourselves about what it is that you do or what's happening, we always have an option to focus. And that focus can be pointed in any direction. And when you focus, it's sort of like a child. I love giving the example of, a baby who doesn't know any different, hasn't been plotting or planning, doesn't have a story they're telling themselves. You have a child who in the moment isn't getting what they want, whether it be food or a toy or attention, and they start to cry. And then because they're unhappy, they're displeased, which is fine. It's to be expected. Of course, they want something they're not getting. And instead of rationalizing with the child, if you give them something else they want more or distract them with another option, when they focus on the other option, they stop crying. That's as simple as it can be for all of us when it comes to focusing. All you have to do is change your point of focus. It's distraction is just turning the other cheek. It is focusing on something different. True or untrue doesn't matter. Just means you're focusing on something else. And in the frequency of appreciation and gratitude, you're also in alignment with who you really are. You're in alignment with receiving that which you want, and you're in alignment with receiving better than what you may currently have been experiencing. When we tell the story of what is, we stay in what is. When you appreciate and when you increase your frequency to be in alignment with that which is true and good, you can live there a little longer and again, change your situation, change your outcome. As we know about epigenetics and quantum physics, you create your own reality. You create a frequency in which your body then responds. So using appreciation and gratitude on a daily basis in Abraham terms, and there's several different ways to apply it. The first one would be doing a rampage of appreciation. And that can be done by yourself, although I recommend and encourage all of my inner circle members and clients to do it with a partner because it becomes more real. You're putting it out into the universe. You're speaking it out loud. You're hearing it. You're thinking it. You're observing yourself do it. And then someone else is witnessing it. And you are processing out loud. While not everyone is a talker, not everyone is vocal, not everyone is auditory, I will say that most of us process when we're in motion. So whether it be you're angry or you're sad or you're trying to move through something, holding energy back doesn't process. So when we're appreciating, when we're showing gratitude, when we're speaking it, we're allowing energy to move. We're allowing energy to come up and out of us and possibly out into the world. So I recommend that you do Rampage Appreciation with at least one person. And that if you're doing it out loud, you do it on something like Marco Polo, or you're doing it on a phone call where the other person's not supposed to answer. And you use the entire time on their phone to appreciate. And even if you're in a bad space, so I will do an example right now, and I will use sort of a negative starting point, okay? And it's also the reason why I always recommend that people who journal, be careful what you're journaling. Be careful if you're journaling and anchoring in a story that you think is true, that anchors in a reason for you to be a victim, that anchors in a story that you think it has a discord of negativity. I'm not saying don't acknowledge your negative feelings, but acknowledge that your negative feelings mean you are disconnected from who you are. That is not how God nor source sees you. They are not in agreement with that, which is why you feel discord. So use pivoting as a way to get from where you are to where you want to be. So talking about Rampage of Appreciation, and it could also be done in an appreciation list. I do love my appreciation lists. I used to do it every night before bed. I have lost that practice. I do it occasionally, and I haven't worked a way into, see, Doug and I go to bed at night pretty much the same time all the time. And I used to do it as a solo practice before, where I would have like a ritual of being in bed by myself. So I would have my salt lamp, I would have my hypnosis or some kind of binaural beats. I would have my appreciation journal. I'd have my sprays and maybe my essential oils. I would have a routine, and I don't have that routine right now, and that's okay. And we have a routine right now of pulling some cards. Doug's been pulling a card every night before bed for the last week, and I don't do it every night, but I do it several nights. So it's just adding that back in. But it's such a powerful process. And in fact, I bought a new one this year for 2020. So this was my new journal once I finished the old one. And the appreciation practice is really, really powerful. So you can do it in multiple ways. So that would be what I would recommend. And I will give you an example of a rampage of appreciation. So let's say I call somebody, and let's say, like, as of right now, I've had way too many carbs in the last 12 hours. So I'm a little tired, and it's Sunday and it's 3:00. And so I appreciate that even though I'm a little tired and really just wanting to lay on the couch and I've had too many carbs, and definitely I don't regret that. I'm tired, and I'm doing this video and I'm doing this Get Vocal because I committed to it, because I committed to trying this platform out for 4 weeks. This is the second week. And I appreciate that even though last week, which I had several of you here and I was answering questions and we had a really nice coaching session, I didn't record it and I didn't stream it. And I appreciate that even though I didn't do any of that, I learned about that and I learned how to do it this time. So right now we're streaming, but nobody's here with me at Get Vocal. And last week, everybody was here inside this platform, which is really fun to, again, be able to answer questions. So I appreciate that even though I didn't do it right last week, I didn't understand the setup, that I had really good conversations with a lot of my Inner Circle members, and we had a really good discussion. And I appreciate that even though no one is here with me in the room right now, those of you that are watching this and that will watch this later, I appreciate you'll find value in what I have to say or in what I'm sharing, and you will be reminded of doing some of these practices. And even though I appreciate that I'm very tired, and that I decided, this is like probably the worst time zone to do this, like 3:00 Pacific time on a Sunday. I appreciate that I hold my commitments. When I said I was going to do it, I'm still doing it. Here I am. And that I will do it for the next 2 weeks. So maybe I'll spend a little time and more effort asking for questions. So at least I have some questions to answer while I'm here if nobody comes on live. And I appreciate that I do have a platform and that I was asked to use it and that it's free to me. It doesn't cost me anything. And if I wanted to, I could repurpose this audio or repurpose this video. I'm not going to want to, but I could if I wanted to. So I appreciate that flexibility. I appreciate that I've been in touch with Glow, which is the host for my membership in the Inner Circle membership podcast, and that they are very easy to work with. We had somebody who had come in and it wasn't like the right fit for her, and she has been continuing to be charged because she didn't know how to cancel. And I've worked with them, and we're going to resolve it really quickly. So I appreciate that they're on top of that, and that we're going to take care of it, and that person will get their refund, and all will be well. I appreciate that we had a new member join the Inner Circle today. And so that was exciting as the group grows, because I do appreciate having a lot of you who listen to the show in a tighter community so that I can best serve you, know what is going on with you, and again, design and put together tools and resources for you that will be more effective. I appreciate my mastermind. I appreciate how connected we are in our Marco Polo, and that we can help each other and support each other when we're not having meetings. I appreciate the excitement around us getting together again in November for our second and final mastermind gathering of the year. They're very, very, very powerful weekends. And I appreciate that my first choice is to have Josh, who I've worked with forever, Josh Schuyler of Schuyler Media, film us, because he is currently in Atlanta. So that was perfect. Couldn't have scheduled that one any better. I appreciate the alignment. I appreciate the alignment that was. Appreciate the alignment that happened there. I didn't even know that, but it worked out perfectly. And I appreciate it work out perfectly and divinely inspired and guided in November as well. And if Josh can't come, I will train Doug to take his place. And I appreciate that will mean that I have to suit up a little bit and buy some more lights and get a nicer camera and get another stand for the backdrop. And I'm going to get a new backdrop. So I appreciate being prepared and ahead of the game. I appreciate that, again, after this is over, I'll probably only go about 30 minutes if no one comes here on Get Vocal. I'm going to go back downstairs on the couch and watch our show. I appreciate that Doug and I watch a lot of stuff together, which is good and fun. And one of the things that we're watching right now is Outlander. So we're deep into Outlander right now. And it's really fun to have a show like that that's super, I mean, it's long and it's detailed and it's dramatic and it's right. And so we're really in it. And I appreciate the conversation that comes out of it too. I appreciate that on the way home last night from dinner, Doug and I had a conversation about, some sexual things and just like sexual past and like who we are. And then today on the drive down to Chiari West, which is a gluten-free bakery in Redondo Beach, and I appreciate being able to support them. We listened to part of my show with Terry Real on the new rules of marriage, and Doug is super excited for us to tell each other our CNIs. So we're not even like a third of the way through the show, and he's already like, "Okay, I want to do this. I want to do this." And I said, "Okay, great." So I appreciate the manifestation of someone who is willing to do the work and is excited about it and loves being able to dissect it and just feel empowered knowing the truth of the psychology behind relationships. And so it's fun. I didn't press it on him. I actually really wanted to listen to an Abraham on the way down, but I said, but we could also listen to, and he was fine with that. So I appreciate my relationship and I appreciate manifesting it because I absolutely manifested it. And in fact, today would have been my 12-year anniversary. So I appreciate that. I would have not remembered that. Well, Facebook would have reminded me today, but Doug on Friday or Saturday said, "Hey, what's today? I think my anniversary is today or tomorrow or something." And so his last marriage, he would have been had an anniversary date. So it brought it to my attention, but I might have missed it. So I appreciate, again, Facebook would have reminded me. So I appreciate that I can honestly appreciate without any more guilt or shame or sadness my life and what has happened. And I feel pretty clean about all the lessons that I've learned. And I feel very appreciative of all the lessons that I've learned. I couldn't have learned them any other way. You have to think about your contrast. And I want to address that really quickly about your belief system. For those of you that think you believe in law of attraction and are having a really hard time right now, there's a reason. It's because you actually may not really believe what you think you believe. Because when our belief systems get tested, that's when you know what you really believe. And sometimes you upper limit. Well, most of us upper limit, but this would be an upper limit, everybody. You're upper limiting if you're not able to employ and live the things you think you believe. If you're having a hard time, you really don't believe them. And this happened to me years ago, and I got the memo. I got the memo really quickly. It was like probably 2011. I think it was 2011. I had to look myself in the mirror and be honest. If I believe what I say I believe, and I definitely believed it in my head intellectually. But if I really embody this, I would not feel anxiety. I would not feel this rush. I would not feel this, I have to get this done, or this feeling of, if I just get to here, if I just get to there. So it was a big wake-up call. So my wake-up call happened in 2011. I think the world's wake-up call is happening now. What do you believe? Time to be really honest. And it's okay if you don't believe what you think you believe. It's okay to say, I don't really know what's going on. I was a part of a situation where there was a death in a family, and the family went from being religious to not knowing what they believed. You go from being a churchgoer who goes through the motions, who thinks as long as everything is in good working condition, as long as conditions are pleasing, I can believe this. But when conditions are challenging, I don't believe this. It's not situational. It's unconditional. Your belief system has to be unconditional. What comes up against you is whether or not you have triggers and wounds. And if you're upper limiting yourself about embodying what you say you believe. I'm just going to take a quick look on Facebook because I've got nope. Okay. Was hoping that was maybe somebody asking a question. Let's get back to this screen. Where am I? There we go. All right. So with that said, What do you believe? Really? Just sit with that for a little while and it's fine to be, I think I've told the story before in a very past relationship years and years and years ago. I had behavior that when looking at it from an outside perspective, me looking at my behavior, asked myself, why are you doing this? Why are you doing all these things? It looks like you think he's going to forget you. Like you're acting like you're trying to make sure he will remember you. And my intellectual 12% conscious brain said, that's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous. What are you talking about? And then I was doing a holosync hypnosis audio, which is a bunch of tones. It might have been the beginning of binaural beats for all I know, but holosync was employing those kinds of different tones and holosync is still around. I haven't done it for years or reached out for years, but I was laying in bed doing one of those audios, and one of the tones hit a part of my brain, and across my forehead, I saw like a little banner ask me the same question. Are you afraid he's going to forget you? And it went from here down to my soul gut area and back up to my face, where then I began to cry. Oh, I do believe that. Huh. So if you want to know what you believe, look at what you're manifesting. Look at where your feelings are, where you are. If you are in super fear, you are not trusting. And if you're not trusting, then you don't actually believe. And I don't care who you're trusting in, but any kind of fear means lack of trust. Sorry, that may be a really in your face way to put this, but it's time to be honest, everybody. It's time to be really honest. And it's okay to have fear. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having fear or sadness or frustration, but be honest, it's yours. No one can give it to you. It's your perception. You're the creator of your own reality. Law of attraction doesn't turn off because all of a sudden you can't do it or you're not in alignment with it. You still attract your own reality. So if you don't like your reality, you have to change it. And again, that's your response to conditions or your response to the world. And people throw around love and, if you loved me, if you were kind, you'd act this way or you would do things differently. Well, most people who are in alignment with who they are act out of the alignment they are with themselves. And the ones who are asking you to act differently are the ones who are out of alignment, wanting aligned people to get out of alignment to please them, which doesn't make any sense. Your alignment is your inside job. And these conditions make it harder for the average person to get in alignment. So what it is showing the contrast of where you normally live with the truth of what's underneath the surface. That 88% of our conscious mind is what's probably coming through for most of you right now. You see, when you have it under control and you're noticing you want to control everyone and everything and shame other people and tell them what to do and how they can make you feel better. I mean, just don't even get that. Like, if I have to ask someone to change for me to feel better, I'm not in alignment. Really easy to see. I'm asking you to be different so I can be in alignment. What's that called? Oh, victim. I'm a victim. Victim mentality means disempowerment, means lack of trust, means I don't trust. So be honest and be careful. What you focus on is what you get. You're still the creator of your own reality, whether you like it or not. It's physics, guys. It's not a belief system. And quantum physics has been around longer than all medicine. And epigenetics trumps every medicine because it says your biology responds to your beliefs. And who controls your beliefs? You. So if you want to feel better right now, change your point of focus to something you can appreciate, something you can appreciate, and something that you know that you believe. I mean, especially now, like thinking about the worst of the worst case scenario. One of the things that Doug and I were talking about last night on the way to dinner was some of the really powerful things that have happened, like let's say to the earth, to the planet, and to some wildlife and to some of the lakes and the oceans, like the lack of pollution and the lack of I mean, just the air quality. I think that car companies and gas companies are being hit right now, but okay, they've been thriving for years. It's time they can take a break. It's good that we're not on the road as much. There hasn't been as much traffic. That's great. That's great news for our environment. That's like so impactful. And then the amount of flexibility that people are forced to do, even in my own mastermind, some people have said, well, all my fares were canceled, or I can't do this because it's an in-person thing. And this time and space is calling us all to learn how to be resilient and flexible, because that's how you survive. That's how you thrive. Because when we, Doug and I were talking about aging and how older people are having a harder time right now. Well, older people always have a harder time. And here's why. See, when you're new coming in, you were connected to source, you remember it. And the further you get away from it, and the further you listen to humans that want to tell you why you should worry and how you shouldn't follow your inner guidance, the further you get away from that, the more fear and anxiety that's created. And then when you get older and older and older, you're clinging to what is comfortable for you because you don't want there to be change, because it makes you uncomfortable, because you're no longer flexible. Until you get old and you're really cranky and you're really upset and you're really a victim and you're blaming the whole world, and then you die. And before you die, if you have a moment to like have a breath of clarity, you look around and go, oh. And what we know for sure is that when you cross over, you're like, oh, what was I worried about? Everything is fine. We're eternal beings. Oh my God, look at all the support. Oh my God, I cut myself off from the support for the last half of my life. So word of advice, everyone, as you're aging, be flexible. Remember who you are. If you listen to the episode with Anita Morjani and I, she talked about, or if you've heard her TED Talk, she talks about the flashlight and how most people so life is like the average person who doesn't understand what happens after death as you cross over the multi-level, multi-sensory beings that we are. It's like you're in a big warehouse with a flashlight and you can only see what's in front of you. And when you cross over, the light is shown to you and you see how wide and far and expansive everything is. And you go, what was I afraid of? It's because I couldn't see it. And there's no reason why you can't start to see it now, and to know it and to trust it and to act as if it's there now. You don't have to cross over. You can do it now. You can trust now. So as we're coming up on the 30-minute mark, and I am streaming, so some of you watching this streaming, but you're not here in Get Vocal. That was the benefit of last week, begging everybody to come do the Get Vocal platform and being able to bring people on. So next week, if anybody wants to be in the hot seat and have some conversation about whatever's going on for you, there are 3 spots that you can come into on the Get Vocal platform, and you can do an app or you can do the website. But if not, I will better prepare some questions and answers, so that way I might be able to repurpose this if nobody comes, because the audio quality, of course, will be really good because I'm talking directly into my mic very closely. So I appreciate everybody. I appreciate the ability to focus. I appreciate the ability to choose my thoughts. I appreciate the ability to be aware of my needs. And I appreciate my consciousness to be able to get those needs met, to be able to see the good no matter what's going on, to practice unconditional love no matter what the condition, to be guided and in a surrendered place, to allow myself the impulse of source energy and my higher being. I appreciate that it's Sunday and that I am going to go back on the couch and continue watching Outlander with Doug. I appreciate that I will rest. I appreciate having some air conditioners in this house because it's pretty hot. I appreciate that you're listening, if you're still listening. I appreciate, I forget all the places I streamed this, but the one place was in the Manifestation Challenge. For those of you that are in the challenge, we are doing another one in September. It will be the last free one of the year. And for those of you in the Inner Circle membership, I know you're excited, especially you, Krista. This was your idea. You wanted to do 2 months in a row. So I appreciate the momentum that's getting created in the Inner Circle right now, that we're going to bring like a big fireball of positive momentum into the September 30-day manifestation challenge. So as we get closer, I will ask you to say that you are doing it and who you are. And then we're going to do our last 2020 September free manifestation challenge. So I look forward to seeing everybody in that group. And if you watch this whole thing, if you have questions for next week, or you want to know how to get on live with me, go ahead and ask it underneath this video, and I'll be happy to give you links and answer questions so that we can come and have a conversation next week. I have 2 more weeks of commitment to the Get Vocal platform on a Sunday for Soul Sunday at 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And I wish you all love and joy and trust and surrender and faith and empowerment, awareness and clarity. Have a great rest of your Sunday.